Welcome to Family Bid-Ness, where we give family insights into small business growth and small business strategy. I'm your host, Tim Haggerty, and over the next hour, we have actually a special episode for you. I'm here with my producer, Alex, and over this next time, we are going to go over what we're calling origin stories, okay? So the beginnings of our small business journey, and then what we've learned in going down this road, and then hopefully shed some light and maybe answer some questions some other small business owners out there might have right now. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so I feel like I'm at a meeting, but hi, my name's Tim Haggerty. How are you? I am CEO of a company we call Bid-Ness, and we run a platform called teamypro.com. I have been in the federal contracting space for the last, about 21, almost 22 years. And I have been on the government side as well as on the private side, more time on the private side. But within the government side, I was GS-12 and then GS-13, the Naval Safety Center in Norfolk, Virginia. There I got to serve, at least that's how I felt about it. I never served in the military, right? But I felt like I wanted to do something, and so I worked GS. It was a great job, stayed there for about 3 years-ish, and then went private, but stayed in aerospace and federal contracting since then, until I broke out and recognized the problem in the industry, broke out and started my own small business, okay, which is teamypro.com. So now with that, there have been so many things all along the way that have been just so exciting, wonderful, terrifying, and lessons learned, right? And so as a small business, we really think a lot about that here. So since that time, we built a team and we have our stuff and we're doing our thing, providing our service, all that stuff, right? And trying to do that as efficiently as possible, but having learned the lessons along the way to actually do it. So the origin stories here, goes to any small business that is really trying to just launch, right? So in our case, when I was at I think it's called the Ronald Reagan Convention Center, downtown DC, I was at a convention. I was in federal contracting, right? I had gone private by this time, and I had a handful of opportunities that we were going after as the small business. But we needed some teammates. And so I didn't really know anyone because I was brand new to the business development part at that time, right? So all my time before then was spent in tech. And so I would build big systems. It was very easy for me to, think in that kind of way. I'm the guy in the basement. So as time went on and the company I was working with was growing, there was an opportunity to go out and start doing business development. Walk out onto the second floor of that convention center, so I got to look down on the whole floor and just a sea of people. There were like 4,000 people down there. And then I realized, man, I don't know a single person. And I'm trying to do business in an industry that's built on trust, right? And so I really thought to myself, how many other small businesses are experiencing that exact same thing? And so, of course, it started the journey. I put everyone online, and people can find other companies easy, okay? But as we were going through and building, we were talking to other small businesses and then asking, are you experiencing this too? Now, of course, that just by itself, when we really dove into it, especially as a team, right? But we dove into the market, this really does explain a lot as to how the federal contracting space itself just operates and why small businesses really just tend to stay small a whole lot, right? And then why others can traverse the landscape unscathed and grow quickly, right? So, and within that, there is basically like a couple of problems that every single business comes up against, and we got to experience that in our own journey as we were starting our own startup. And hey, so for those just joining, we are Family Bid-Ness, where we give family insight into small business growth, small business strategy. I'm your host, Tim Haggerty, and we're going over origin stories today. So we're talking about my personal journey, really, as trying to start and grow this brand new business by recognizing a problem and then trying to fill a gap, right? Fill a void. Okay, so but diving into it, we one of the things that we had to do was to learn our customer, right? And so that's what I set out to do. It's what our team set out to do, to go and talk to companies and find out who our customers are. And then in that, we got to recognize the patterns of small businesses doing the same things. And then we higher up got to recognize a different pattern of like even starting out it seems like there's a lot of miscommunication and a whole lot of pitfalls kind of thing, right? Set up almost for when a small business enters this particular market, there's a pretty good or high probability of failure, right? So we got to look at all of that, right? Because this is our business. So these are companies in the federal market. What does it take to do business in the federal market? So that's what we're helping to supply. So we had to learn this. And so with that, okay, we started really thinking about it. And so it makes total sense that in the federal contracting market, right, you have these pockets, these little niches of, call them skill sets, right, but contracts, right? And then you have a handful, maybe a little bit more, depending on how much money's in this pot, but you have a handful of these companies that basically have like a really strong hold, right, on most of the money. And then they have subcontractors that reach out and they go down and down and down. And then that's how money moves from these government agencies, big pots of money, and then on down to the small businesses, right? Now, now this is an industry that is built on trust. Okay. I mean, this is federal contracting. So, and at the core of it, you have to trust the partner that you're going to be working with. So like in this case, the prime contractor has to trust the subcontractor that they will do their job and they won't rip them off and they won't make them look bad to their government customer, right? So there's a lot of trust there. And so as we were going through and really trying to figure out this market and how business is really being done on a general scale, at the core of a whole lot of these things, when it comes down to small businesses not growing, it's because from like what it seems like, you are not talking to the right people. I mean, it could be as simple as that, right? Because the small business could be a very trustworthy business. Small business can be, deliver on their promises and there's no issues there. But there's so much opportunity happening, right? And since trust is such a big part of the decision-making process that the primes and the bigger companies and the government agencies hand down, you not only have to talk to the right people and but they have to get to know you. So there's a lot of communication from what it seems like in these small businesses here, right? That's not happening when it comes down to it, which means that how in the world can a small business go and try to break into that little niche, right? And get a piece of that pie. If a small business wants to do that, they have to be very, very proactive, right? To actually go after it with a strategy, with a plan, right? And then even then, you have a shot, you see, because at that point now you're it's kind of like high school, right? And like you just met a new group of kids. And so you have to now try to adapt, right? So, but this is the first challenge that we had recognized as we were going through and starting to figure out who our customers were as we were starting to build our own startup. All right. Hey, so stick with us till we get back. We're going to take a quick break here at Family Bid-Ness. Be right back with you.
Teaming Pro is a one-stop shop in the federal contracting market. We have the 3 things that you need to be successful in the industry, and that's opportunities, teammates, and organization. Now, we do this so you can come together and do more. Whether you're just starting out or have a large company, Teaming Pro will automate and streamline your business development, helping you discover new teammates and get your business there faster. Visit us at teamingpro.com to activate your free account and join our growing network today.
Welcome back to Family Bid-Ness, where we give family insight into small business growth, small business strategy. I'm your host, Tim Haggerty, and we are here today talking a special episode. We're talking about origin stories. So we're going over the origin story of our Teaming Pro startup and basically how I got started in this, given my background in the federal contracting space. And so how it started just working by recognizing the problem first. But then as that was going, we started to talk to our customers because number one, we've got to find out who our customers are, right? And so we started talking to them and then finding out challenges and really diving into how this particular industry, the federal contracting industry, really just operates. A whole lot of it from this very first part, we are talking about relationships first, right? So trust. Federal contracting space, there's a ton of trust. You have to have it. You got to trust your partners. I mean, think about the nature of this work. This is it's very important work. And so trust should be a very good, major factor. So that's the first challenge first, right? So small businesses, you can use all sorts of things. You got to get out there and you got to talk to the right people. That's number one, but then also you have to bring to the table whatever, that trustworthiness. And now part of that can be your past performance, right? And then, but also part of that can just be who you are as a business. How well put together are we as a business? And, these are questions that we had to ask ourselves as we were starting to grow too, right? And so it was almost like a parallel kind of journey, like as we were going through and realizing what we needed to do to actually define the word win, right? And so we were seeing this on the federal contracting small business side. And so, and so the first one, number one thing, you ultimately have to be able to talk to the right people. You got to know who they are, and you really do have to be a trustworthy, honest broker when it comes down to that. Now, if you have those bases covered, great. Okay. And then so of course we went on and we started learning more. And then the next thing that we kind of came to was, okay, how are companies starting in this federal space? So say someone new was coming in, right? The normal steps would be like, okay, I'm a company, I'm going to go get my SAM registration. You go to sam.gov. You register as a business, right? You register your business on sam.gov. That's how the government knows to do business with you, right? Got to have that record. Okay. So you go do it, right? And you did it yourself. I mean, by the way, it's free. You don't have to pay anyone to do it. You can pay someone to do it if you don't want to take on the burden yourself. But quite honestly, the government customer wants the small business to do that, to put the little bit of skin in the game. Because, and it's not the easiest thing, it's paperwork, it's government paperwork. And if you want to do business with the government, you might want to get used to doing government paperwork. So they like it. Anyway, so that's your first normal step number one. Okay. So now you're registered and so the next step, let's just say you're like, okay, what do you do here? The very next thing, that normal thing, is a small business is going to say, okay, opportunities. What am I going to go chase? What does the government have, right? On that same website, sam.gov, you can see the opportunities that are going to be a match for your kind of company, right? Anything over 25 grand, I mean, by the way, is posted on sam.gov. Federally, or it's a federal law, they have to do it. Anything under 25 grand is not competed or posted on sam.gov. And you can think of it like, kind of like when a house goes on the market, it goes on the MLS, right? That's what sam.gov is. When an opportunity drops in the industry here, we call it hitting the street, right? So that's when it hits the street, right? That's on sam.gov, and everyone who has an account can go in there and look and see, all right? So now you have to think of that now. Small business, okay. And we talked about it on the show before, just a little bit of the origin or the basis of it. Small businesses, we have limited resources. And that means time. That means cash in some cases. It means skill sets. It means all sorts of things. Okay. So, but here, new companies coming in, trying to jump into the industry, that's the first thing that you just naturally think of. Okay, what can I go after? Which within itself is a little bit of not a trap, but it's a bit of a, it can be a stumbling block, right? It's not the only strategy. Okay. And the thing about the sam.gov ops, let's just say that you see an opportunity that looks like it's a good fit. The thing about it is you are competing with other teams that have been working that for the last 2 years, possibly, right? So there's a whole little deep-seated well there of information that you just don't even have when you're jumping in. And hey, by the way, we are Family Bid-Ness. If you're just tuning in, where we give family insight into small business growth and small business strategy. We're going over origin stories today. So the small business journey into the federal contracting market, right? So, and as well as our small business journey of building and growing our startup company to support the federal contracting market. So here, the small business now, okay, right? It's possible that like you're automatically going down a bad road. Plus, also, okay, let's just say, yeah, opportunities. Let's go after that. Small business. Do you have experience writing proposals? No. You have to ask yourself that, because with that comes a proposal. Now, especially if you're going after a contract, let's say that has services, right? Let's say you're going to offer services. Here's the other thing, and this is why if you're competing in the world of services on the federal side, this is why your network is one of the most important things. Is that let's say the government puts out a contract that says, okay, we want janitorial services combined with plumbing, let's just say, right? So you want to go after it, right? But you're janitorial, you don't do plumbing. Okay, so this is kind of how it works. Now, the thing is, when that opportunity, sometimes, now this isn't every time, if it's a brand new opportunity, never been competed before, brand new money stuff, okay, it's out on SAM and brand new time. But a whole lot of these opportunities on SAM are recompete contracts. So like these are contracts that have been, let's say they've been awarded once, twice, three times, who knows how many times, right? And the contract could be worth or as long as 3, 5 years, 10 years, 1 year, depending on the contract, right? So, but if it's a contract, let's say this is what we call them in the industry, definitive contracts, right? So a definitive contract, usually between 3 and 5 years. I mean, it's your bread and butter. If you're going to build a federal contracting business, then you want a couple of those in your portfolio to make sure that you have cash coming in. It's a good strategy, right? So, okay, definitive contracts. And you're a new guy coming in, you see it on SAM.gov, you have a week to respond. This is the other thing on SAM, historically short response dates, right? So you have this short time to respond. You got to go hustle, find a teammate. Then you got to figure out how to write a winning proposal, which, by the way, you have no idea that how many other teams you're actually competing up against. But you can be sure that if it is a recompete contract, right, you can be sure that the incumbent, the company that owns that contract now with their team, has been making sure that they that basically just win it the next time and keep everyone on their roster and then keep on going, like uninterrupted. They're trying their best to do that. So small business, you're coming in, you are going head to head against that, okay, and you don't even know. So from what we saw, the normal modus operandi, I call it, right? All right. So like let's say a new business, like you say they're a commercial business and you've been doing business in the commercial world a couple of years. You want to come in and try federal contracting. Okay, that's a use case. Okay, so with that, they run up against this, but a company might spend a good year wasting that time and money. And then realizing that, wait a minute, federal contracting isn't impossible. It's really, really more strategy driven when it comes down to it, right? And so once companies realize that, and this is actually one of the other reasons for the talk, so brand new companies, if you're coming into the industry and you're new, it might be able to save you some time, when it comes down to it. So that is the second issue, right? Caveat part is that you got to have some strategy as to how are we actually going to go and go after this market. All right, hey, more when we come back here at Family Bid-Ness. Stay tuned. So managing all of your federal contracting data is hard. Business development or drumming up new business is a big barrier to entry for B2B companies coming into the federal contracting market. Now, whether you're just starting out or you have a large company that needs organization, the TeamE Pro pipeline will automate and streamline your business development and procurement strategies. Now, instantly accelerate your growth plan and take advantage of TeamE Pro actionable analytics. Activate your account today and start organizing at teamingpro.com. Welcome back to Family Bid-Ness, where we give family insight into small business growth and small business strategy. I'm your host, Tim Haggerty, and we have a very special episode today that we're talking about origin stories. We're kind of going over our own origin story, my background, and how we started our small business here, right along with the industry that we support, which is the federal contracting space. And so a small business's journey by starting and going through this particular industry. We went over the first part. We were talking about the network. You have to know the companies because there's a huge trust barrier within the federal contracting space. So it is who you know, all right? So that's number one. And then number two, with that, you have to be trustworthy. And then, okay, now let's say you have all that covered and you have your ducks in a row and you're good to go. The next part that we were talking about was strategy. Okay, most companies go right after the opportunities, but there are some pitfalls in that because there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes and the undertones that you might not want to waste your small business time and limited small business time and resources on or that particular strategy necessarily. Okay. As we get into strategy, I just want to talk about that just a little bit more because then you say, okay, well then what else am I going to do? There are data. Data in this case now is going to reign supreme. Okay, so as a small business now, you want to protect your resources and all that stuff. So what you can do is you know for a fact that companies team with other companies. Okay? That's a truism. And now if you can find out the kinds of companies that team with your company, okay, and the services that you offer, okay, now you're off and running. From here, you could devise a strategy saying, okay, show me every company that has every contract of this type that has an expiration date that goes out, let's say a couple of years, right? Let's say they just got it. And you want to get on their radar and then saying, hey, if you need any help doing these services, we are this company here. And this is what we do, by the way, right? And so, but the introduction is actually going to be another part. So, but yeah, so you that's just a whole nother different kind of strategy, not going after what's on SAM necessarily, what's on the market there, but building your network, going back to the first point, right? Where your network itself is the most important thing that you will ever build as an asset really for your company in this space. So you in this strategy, you get to know, let's just say the winners, right? The companies that are out there that are winning contracts, right? And then you not go after the SAM.gov ops, but you go after building the relationships. So in that kind of strategy. Now, there are opportunities there. Possibly you can get on current contracts. Possibly they might need you for something now. You might get with a larger company, and we have seen this too, to where they'll test you, right? So a larger prime will, if a small business comes to them with something of value, right, and they like what you're doing, they will test you. They'll give you a contract, and then they'll see if your bread really is buttered, okay, right? So that's just how the whole thing works because they got to know if they can trust you, right? Now, let's just say we walk down this happy path, that small business goes and crushes it, kills it. Then it's easy. Now you have a friendly, very large prime who would love to give you more stuff because that's how this industry works. All right. So now talking to them. This is the other thing. Okay, so as we were building our business, and we desperately want to try to figure out how to talk to our customers in the best way, right? Because we have things that we want to basically how we do business. We love being professional. We love offering value. All of that good kind of stuff. So, but communication itself, it's almost a bit of an art, right? And so this is the other thing. As we figured out that we are not the best communicators as we might have thought. It's the same thing on the small business side. And then so now these large companies. Let's just say we're going down this strategy now. Now you can go to conventions and meet companies. You can find them, there's all ways, right? But you're going to start talking to these companies. There's a lot of bad ways to do it and just a couple of few right ways, right? So this is the other thing that we found out as we were going through our own, communications journey. Let's call this that part. Okay. And for those of you just tuning in, this is Family Bid-Ness, where we give family insight into small business growth and small business strategy. And we're going over origin stories today. So federal contracting companies. Okay. So now you're a small business. You got your capability statement. I know we didn't talk about that before, but you got your SAM registration, and you should have your capability statement as well too. It's a single page PDF normally. That's just like business card for your company, okay? And you have all your stuff set up, certifications are in place, you're good to go, right? And so now you have a strategy, and you just got in front of, or you're trying to get in front of a large company that has a contract, or a couple of large companies, right, that have contracts that you might be able to do something on. Okay, so the worst way to do this is to, or as a small business, the small business goes up and says, hi, we are a woman-owned small business based out of wherever, and we do ABC. Okay, so that, all right, so now you have to put, now as a small business person that I'm talking to here, right? If you put yourselves in the shoes of the prime contractor or the large business or someone that we're introducing ourselves to, put yourselves in their shoes. Now, this could also be a government small business agency or a government agency, because that's another part of the strategy too. Large companies that have the contracts, businesses, you can also contact the small business agencies, right, within each of the government agencies. Okay, so Navy has one, Air Force has one, they all have small business offices, right? Now, a lot of small businesses go to the small business offices or the officers in the same way. They say, hi, we are a veteran-owned or woman-owned. We do technical services. Okay, now, putting ourselves in the shoes of the other side, what is it that we can do with that? I mean, if you really think about that kind of communication exchange, right? We just volleyed a flat ball to the other side. Imagine if we, and so imagine like the other person standing there going, okay, well, I want to help you, because it is in their best interest, right, to help small businesses, both on the government side as well as the large primes, because they have a mandate to give out a percentage of their wins, 23% to small biz, right? So they have an interest in doing this, and they want to do it for qualified companies, so they can, keep impressing their government customers. So they want to help you. So, but when they hear that, they're like, okay, I mean, really, what am I going to do with that? And so their brain might start racing, thinking like, okay, what opportunities do I have? Any opportunities that might need a woman-owned, or, and they're already, whoever you're talking to, whether it's a small business office or whether it's a large prime, whoever, they're already busy, so busy. And you as a small business, just like any other marketing kind of attempt, you only have a certain amount of seconds or time, to get that person's their total attention, as well as maybe thinking like, oh, well, what is this? Because you want the intrigue, right? So, okay, now this, by the way, is coming from, we personally, or I personally have worked with like a lot of large businesses and talked to a ton of government agencies, especially small business offices, right? And so this is how they want you to come at them. All right, so they want you to come up and then say, hey, let's say prime, large prime. Here are 3 contracts that you have that we think that we can add value to. We have this kind of past performance, or we have these kind of capabilities. By the way, we're woman-owned, we're veteran-owned, or some other kind, right? And but we would love to talk to you about this. You see, that right there, you just brought them something that they can sink their teeth into. You just brought them something that can be moved forward way more easily than just a general intro of just saying, hi, we are this company, and blah, 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 right? Okay. Hey, so we are going to take a quick break here at Family Business. We will be right back for the conclusion of the origin stories. Timmy Pro is a one-stop shop in the federal contracting market. We have the 3 things that you need to be successful in this industry. You need opportunities, teammates, and organization. And we all need these so we can come together and do more. Now, whether you're just starting out or have a large company, Timmy Pro will automate and streamline your business development, will help you discover new teammates, and get your business moving faster in the federal market. So visit us at TimmyPro.com, activate your free account, and join our growing network today. Welcome back to Family Bid-Ness, where we give family insight into small business growth, small business strategy. I'm your host, Tim Haggerty. We have a special episode today. We're talking origin stories. So we're kind of going over the origin story of our small business, at the same time paralleled with the origin stories essentially of the industry that we're supporting, which is federal contracting space. So, and we support mainly small businesses, but all the way to large businesses to government agencies. So, but the majority of our customer base would be small businesses. So we're going over the parallel or the journey that a small business has to go through in order to really kind of, however you want to define the term success or win, right? Okay, because everyone has set goals and whatever it is that they're going after. So, but we were talking about the challenges. So the very first one really is the network. Small businesses really, this is an industry built on trust. So it is who we know. All right. So, and of course, now whatever the challenges are that come from that. So, being a small business with limited resources, limited time, limited cash, limited, like however else, what are we going to spend our time, marketing time, business development time into, right? So, we have those choices to make. But one of the things that should help to guide us is, okay, how does this help build our network? Because the network is one of the most important things. Okay. So, number two, it's what it is as strategies, what it is that small business is really going after. The normal route or path, a small biz will come in and then start going after SAM.gov opportunities. We talked about that. There's some caveats and pitfalls there in that you're most likely going up against teams or competing with teams that have been working that opportunity for the last 18 to 24 months. Okay, so you have some hidden pitfalls there as a new business coming in, just dealing in that. So we talked about strategies. So now there are lots of strategies that you could take advantage of. Now, this is where data comes in. So the small business, and now everyone or everything's online now. So this is where technology comes in. Now, being a small business, this is one of the things that we really did learn. And we really preach this from here, and we do it internally too. Being a small business, we have limited stuff, right? Now, we should, just because of that, lean more on tech. Because tech, if it can actually make our jobs easier, right? If it can automate a couple of things from the small business perspective, especially maybe in things of how we run our business, whatever it is, if we can really outsource that through tech, then it helps us, not only keep that light on longer, but can maybe save a whole lot of time from the monotonous work that we don't really want to do, or that's not really driving growth in our business, right? So small business, yes, leaning on tech to outsource, to be able to go and then say, all right, I don't want to mess with all of this other bookkeeping stuff, all the other stuff, whatever it is that you can get off your plate. Okay, so as a small, yes, we should be leaning into that, which does mean an investment, right, in these tech platforms. Sometimes that'll mean cash. Most of the time, that'll at least mean time, right? But we should do that as a small business because data is king, especially in this industry, in the federal contracting space. The more you can learn about the contract, the more you can learn about the customer, the more you can learn about how it's going right now, if there is a thing, the more you can learn about who your competitors are, what other kind of work are they doing. You're going to want to know all that stuff so you can legitimately form some good strategies. So in this case, like if a company goes and formulates 1, 2, maybe 3 strategies, okay, now instead of just one inflow, let's say SAM.gov, now the small business is competing on a couple of different levels within the market. All right, now, so it brings us to the last point, which is organization. The organization, right? Okay, this is another thing that the small businesses go and then say, okay, let's put this on the back burner, but this is the other thing that actually has to be brought up to the front. And for those of you just joining up, we are Family Bid-Ness, where we give family insight, small business growth, small business strategy. We're going over origin stories today. So we're at essentially the end of it, where the organization is where the small business can now go and visually see in most cases their repeatable model, and then you through the organization, it's the rinse and repeat. Okay, and then this is what helps fuel and supply growth. Now, a small business, we think, okay, my communication process or my pipeline, or am I tracking? And it's most likely, just like every small business, it's all over the place. Okay, this is the other thing that we found. So if you're a small business, let's just say if you have a Dropbox, or if you have something, and we don't endorse any of this stuff, but let's just say you have some file system somewhere, and you're a business that's been operating for a little while, and let's say it's one of those places where multiple people have access to it. Does that thing look like a crazy jungle or not? Most people would have to say yes. You see, because that's what we do. So we are inherently, right? We try to be organized, but we try to take on so much. And if there is no organization, something to plug something into, it just makes it harder and harder for us as a small business to be able to go and keep on going. And then, all right, so, because with the organization, it releases that whole thing, like you feel like you're working behind the eight ball. All right, so now that last part. So as we were going through and learning this, right, it was easy to see the parallels on the other side of the industry. So from the prime, the large company, right? So the primes, they have these three elements, right, like running really, really well. So number one, and so a small business needs the same thing. Okay, so the first thing that the prime has, they have a network. All right, imagine now, but they've spent decades building it, and that's really what it takes or took, right? But now that everyone's getting online, it will get faster, I'm sure. But they have a network, and they can tap into that small business network, whatever it is, right, at any time as a large prime. If opportunities are going to be limited by the scope of what the government customer needs, right? Isn't the scope of the opportunities that we can all go after limited by our own network? So that's another it's a very important point, right? So we can't go after this other contract if we don't have a teammate to go supply that other section. Okay, so the large primes have that. The large primes also they know what they're going after, and they know, like, they don't deal on SAM.gov, like these large, or rarely, right? They are dealing with the expiring contracts, and they're dealing with their own, and they're also researching other contracts that other companies own that they want to see if they can win. So that's how they're working business development there. And then when it comes down to the organization, they have their own built-in tools, most of them, to go and make sure that everything gets organized, there's a proper pipeline, people know who they're working with, and communication is somewhat streamlined, right? So those are the three things that we found out that in this industry, the small businesses don't have them. And that's why it really does truly feel like kind of like a disarray, right? So, but if a small business had those three things, then yeah, okay. Now there's a shot to work federal contracting in the same way that the big guys do, essentially. Hey, so we are going to be right back here on Family Bid-Ness.
Managing all of your federal contracting data is hard. Pipeline management is a large barrier to entry for B2B businesses and federal contracting companies. Whether you're just starting out or have a large company that needs organization, the Teaming Pro Pipeline Management will automate and streamline your business development and your procurement strategies. Instantly accelerate your growth plan and take advantage of Teaming Pro's actionable analytics. Activate your account and start organizing today at teamingpro.com.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to Family Bid-Ness, the show where we give family insight, a small business growth, and small business strategy, all while helping each other grow. I am your host, Tim Haggerty. Hey, remember to give us a follow on our social media. You can stay up to date and check us out. Now, you can also check out familybid-ness.com to join our family. Reach out to us, and maybe we'll cover your topic on the next show. So once again, thanks for tuning in. Family Bid-Ness will be back on the next one.